Hello to all the students who are facing the ordinary level examination this year. So today we are going to learn English. And if we have a look at your past papers over the years, the question in which you have to describe either a graph, a chart or a table is, as we figured, one of the challenging questions in your paper. But at the same time, if you study it very carefully and if you study the method of answering the question, it's pretty easy. So let's get started. Interpreting data from bar graphs, pie charts and tables. And so by the end of this lesson, you will be able to read and interpret a bar graph, a pie chart or a table, analyze and report data from a bar graph, a pie chart and a table, and also you will be able to develop some vocabulary related to reporting data from graphs, charts and tables. Right. So let's get started with the presentation. If we move on to slide 1, first of all, you see I've given you an introduction of what a bar graph is, what a pie chart is, and what a table is. Let's see what a bar graph is first. So bar graphs are presented as a set of bars, right, as you can see. And each of these bars stand for a specific quantity or a measurement or an amount, right? So they have two axes, x-axis and y-axis. Y-axis is the vertical axis and x-axis is the horizontal one. And bar graphs are specially used if you want to report a change of an element over a period of time, whether it's over a year, over a week, or like even days. If you want to report a change of an element over a time, especially over a period of time, you use bar graphs. And they are also very useful if you want to compare things, right, by showing the differences and similarities. And bar graphs can be displayed either horizontally and or vertically. But if you have a look at the papers, the past papers, what you have got so far are only vertical bar graphs. So for today, let's only focus on vertical bar graphs. And moving on to pie charts. What's a pie chart? Pie charts are used to show the parts of a whole, as in it's a representation of a whole, right? So in contrast to bar graphs, they don't report a change of an element over a period of time. They report something at a set point of time. So that is the difference between a bar graph and a pie chart. And so they are shown in proportions, and they also show how each piece relates to the whole. And moving on to see what a table is. Tables represent facts or figures, and they are displayed in columns and rows. And each of these columns and rows are labeled, so you have to pay special attention to what these labels are. And you can represent data in, for an example, say kilograms, hectares, milliliters, liters, and at the same time you can represent data in the form of percentages. So that is one specialty in tables, right? Okay, I hope you got an idea of what a bar graph is, what a pie chart is, and what a table is. Moving on, in this slide, I've given you some key concerns that you should take into consideration when you're interpreting data from a bar graph, a pie chart, or a table. Right, so point number 1 is, what can you learn from the title? Now, every graph, chart, or table should most definitely have a title. Now, when we have a look at your past papers, the title of the table, graph or chart is given within the question. So it's your job to identify what the topic is. If you read the question properly, you can have an understanding on what exactly this graph, chart or table is representing. And then the next point, you should know what information do the labels or the two axes give. Now, in bar graphs, as I said earlier, there are two axes, x and y. And in pie charts and tables, there are labels. So, when reporting data from graphs, charts, and tables, you have to take all these axes and labels into your notice. Right. So, the next point, what are the units of measurement? You know, there are units of measurement presented in graphs, charts, and tables. Now, in pie charts, it's mostly presented in percentages. And in bar graphs and tables, it could be, as I said earlier, grams, kilograms, hectares, pounds, etc. And then the next point, time period. Especially if you're reporting data out of a bar graph, because as I said earlier, bar graphs report a change of an element over a period of time, right? And so then you have to identify what the most obvious trend is. You can also call these tendencies and trends in graphs, charts, and tables. Now, what is the highest numerical? What is the lowest numerical? Or if something is equal to another, what is it? And yeah, like that. And then you have to pay attention. You have to make comparisons and contrasts and identify if there are any patterns or special features to be noticed in the graph, chart, or table that you are interpreting. So these are the key concerns that you should take into consideration. Let's go ahead and see what else is there to learn. Right. Now in this slide, I've given you the parts of a graph, a bar graph. It's very simple. I hope you know it already. On the top, there is the title. It should be there. Now in this, it's the school supplies the students use. And then there are the two axes. X-axis, which is the horizontal axis, shows the labels of the types of school supplies used by the students. And the y-axis, which is the vertical one, shows the number of supplies used by the students. So, as you can see, there is a scale on the y-axis. Moving on, these are the parts of a pie chart and a table. They are pretty similar because both of these have titles and labels. As you can see in pie charts, the data are presented in percentages, but in tables, the data presented in both grams and percentages. So that's a specialty. Right. Now, as I mentioned earlier, graphs, charts, and tables, these, when you're reporting data, you can identify tendencies and trends in the element, right? So it's in the changes of the element. So these are the four most basic trends, especially when you are reporting data out of a bar graph, right? They have tendencies. So the first one is the upward movement. If there's an increase of a certain element, you call it an upward movement. And then if we can identify the decrease or the downfall of the same element, we say there's a downward movement. And sometimes in graphs, there is no movement at all, right? It's like the element has been consistent for a period of time. So then you call it, you say there is no movement at all in that element, right? And then a change in direction, or we call it a change in the trend. Now, if something has increased or decreased drastically, that is a change in direction, right? Now, the structure of the description. Now we have come to the most important part of this lesson, Because when you're reporting data out of a bar graph, a pie chart, or a table, you can't just start and continue writing. You have to follow a certain structure. You have to be methodical. So now we are going to learn how you're supposed to answer it methodically. You have to start with an introduction. Now this applies to whatever the kind of writing, whether it's an essay, whether it's whether you're reporting data out of a bar graph, pie chart, or a table, or when you're just writing a paragraph, whatever it is, whatever the kind of writing that you're doing, you have to have an introduction. Now in the introduction section, these are the things that you should include. What kind of data are presented? Now, for an example, you can say this bar graph represents the mode of transportation used by the villagers, or this pie chart represents the stationery items sold at the school canteen, right? A school cooperative, right? Something like this. So you have to give an introduction as to what exactly this bar graph, pie chart, or table is presenting. And then you have to say how exactly the data are presented, whether it's via a pie chart, whether it's via a bar graph, or whether it's via a table. And then you have to be specific about what exactly what are the kinds of data that are exactly presented. Now for an example, you say stationery items, you can maybe list out the stationery items that are sold at the school cooperative. Say, make a list of stationery items, say pencils, pens, erasers, cutters, or A4s. Like, you have to give an introduction to the labels or the elements in the axes, right? That's about the introduction. Then you have to introduce the most evident trends. What can you see at your first glance when you have a look at the bar graph or the pie chart or the table? For an example, you can name the mostly used stationery item, or if something is sold in equal numbers, you can mention that, right? And next, your reporting has to be very detailed. Now, this is where you draw comparisons and contrasts between the data. Say an equal number of students like to purchase color pencils and erasers, or the percentage of students who want to purchase pencils is higher than the percentage of students who want to purchase pencil sharpeners, right? Something like that. And then later on, you can identify the other notable patterns and features. If something, if you are reporting data of a period of time, you can say something has increased gradually, or something has decreased gradually, or even something has decreased drastically, or something has increased drastically. You can identify these patterns and features also, right? So that's about the structure of your description. Now, this would be helpful to you when you are describing a graph, chart, or a table. I've given you key phrases to describe them. Now, if you want to say what your graph or chart or table is about, you can start with like this pie chart is about, or this bar graph deals with, this table shows, or the table highlights or represents, vocabulary like this. And then if you want to introduce your labels, as in what is there in your axes, or what the slices of your pie charts represent, this is how you could say this. The pie chart includes 5 components, and they are say pencils, erasers, A4s, like that. And then about the axis, how you can say the vertical axis shows this, the horizontal axis shows this. Maybe say ingredients of a cake, right? Flour, butter, baking powder, things like these. You have to introduce your axes and labels. This is how you do it. And then moving on, now here are the key phrases that you could use to introduce the main trends, when you're especially drawing comparisons and contrasts between the elements. And if you want to mention the other important features and patterns, right? You could say Matara has the largest number of this, and Candy has the highest percentage of this, likewise. And if you want to make comparisons, you can say this element is equal to this, right? And once again, if you want to make more contrasts, you can say this is twice as big as this. Make a me wage degunayak, right? And if you want to say this is half the number of this, make a me again hari adak, right? So like that. And if you want to indicate a pattern, as I said earlier, especially if you are interpreting data that change over a time, you could say this number has gradually increased, or from this year to this year, and this number has drastically decreased from this year to this year, like that. And of course, if there is no change at all, you could say the number has remained unchanged, or the number has not changed. Right. Now, here, these are the conjunctions and linking words that you could generally use in whatever the kind of writing that you do. This is basically to maintain coherence and cohesion between the lines and the paragraphs, right? Now, if you want to add something to what you have said earlier, you could continue saying words like furthermore, moreover, in addition, and also if you want to contradict or differ from what you have said earlier, you could start with words like in contrast, however, but, yet, like අපි කියන්නේ ඒ නමුත් කියලා, right? අපිට differ වෙන්න ඕනේ නම් කලින් කියපු දෙයින් මේ වගේ වචන පාවිච්චි කරාම හරි. Right. Now, in the following 3 slides, we have designed 3 questions for you. Now, let's have a look at them one by one. Now, if you are to describe this, and if you get this question in your paper, and if you are to describe it, this is how you could do it. Now, when you get a question, don't start to answer at your first glance. Take a minute or two to study the graph, right? Now, let's have a proper look at the bar graph given. What can we identify? First of all, we have to introduce what it is. If you are to introduce, this is how you could do it. Now, this bar graph shows, as you can see in the title, the number of several school supplies used by the students in class 11B, right? And the x-axis of the bar graph shows the types of school supplies, which are pencils, scales, pens, sharpeners, and erasers. And the y-axis of the bar graph shows the number of supplies used, right? And then let's notice what are the main trends. Pencils are the most used school supply, and pens are the least used school supply. Furthermore, the number of erasers used is half the number of pencils used by the students. The number of pens used is quarter the number of pencils used by the students, right? So that is something that we can notice there. And if you want, you can add sharpener is the second most used school supply, right? So that's about it. And let's see, if you are to describe this pie chart, how could you do it? You can start with this pie chart represents the percentage of water usage for several purposes. And you can name the purposes, right? And you can say the pie chart consists of 6 slices, which are toilet, shower, faucet, cloth washer, leaks, and other. And you can say from the pie chart, it is evident that the most amount of water is used for toilet purposes, and it is 27%. And 13% of water is wasted by leakages, and it is nearly half the percentage of water used for toilet purposes. And in addition, only a small minority of 5% of water is used for other purposes. So according to this pie chart, the percent of water used in faucet is higher than the percent of water used in shower, and less than the percent of water wasted on leaks, right? So I think that's how you could describe this pie chart. And moving on to the last one, this is how you could describe it. Now this table shows the use of ingredients to bake 1 pound butter cake, both in grams and percentages. The 5 ingredients used are flour, sugar, butter, eggs and baking powder. You can name them. And the most used ingredient is flour, and it is 26% of the entire cake. And the least used ingredient is baking powder, and it is only 2.4% of the cake. And according to the table, butter and eggs are used in similar amounts, so don't forget to mention that. And you can also say it's 143 grams of each. And yeah, so I think that covers the word limit, because you have when we look at your past papers, the word limit that you have got is 100 words, so that much of a description would be enough. And if you want to add a couple of things more, that's also fine. And yeah, so that's about it. Now we have come to the end of the lesson. I hope the lesson was helpful to you, and we from University of Ruhuna wish you all the very best to sit for the upcoming exam and get good grades. Thank you.